Hi, everyone. This is our group project for our social work class. My name is Kylie Lamont. We also have Amanda Gunderson and Alicia Kimmerly. We did this on the role of social workers in addressing the adolescent mental health crisis. All right. For my part of the project, I focused on adolescent mental health and why we need support for teens ages 10 to 18 and why it's so important. So, from the first article, I learned that extending child welfare services to age 18 significantly improves outcome. Older teens often have more emotional and behavioral struggles, fewer coping skills, and less stability at home. So, stopping support at age 16 left a lot of teens without resources when they needed them the most. The second article focused on social media and how it impacts mental health. Social workers reported that social media adds pressure, comparison, and anxiety, but it can also create connection for teens who might feel isolated. Together, the articles showed how essential social workers are, especially in schools, because teens are facing more complex challenges than ever. Next slide. Thanks. So, the real life insights. In my interview with the social worker, he shared several real world insights that connected directly to the research. He emphasized taking a systems approach, working not just with the teen, but with the entire family. Teens often struggle because of unmet physical needs or skill deficits, and supporting the whole family creates the best long term outcomes. When teaching coping skills, our social worker, he focuses on being proactive and not reactive. Teens can't learn in crisis, so he learns to build skills ahead of time and helps them practice through trial and error. He also talked about how parental struggles like poverty, addiction, or mental health issues make this job harder. Many families rely on public systems that are hard to navigate, and follow through becomes a challenge. So with social media, he sees both positives and negatives. It can distract kids and affect their presence, but it also gives introverted teens a place to belong. He was honest about the limits too. He's one social worker for 9 schools, including 3 secondary schools. So the workload is massive. He mentioned having thousands of children. So he does his best, even though the system itself can be the barrier. Next slide. So the agency and the work. The agency he works for, which is Nebo School District, focuses on supporting youth and families through counseling and school-based services. Their mission is to build resilience and bridge emotional and academic gaps. Some of the positives include seeing meaningful growth, like when a teen learns a new coping skill, advocates for themselves, or starts feeling emotionally safe. That connection is what makes the work powerful. But he also shared the challenges. The emotional toll, limited resources, and the heavy demands placed on school social workers. He also mentioned that the structure of school itself can be a barrier, especially the pressure of letter grades, which often make teens feel like they're never enough. And overall, the interview and research made it clear that adolescent mental health is deeply interconnected with family systems, school expectations, and community support. Social workers play a huge role in helping teens navigate all of that. I'll hand the time over to Amanda Gunderson.
Thank you. All right. So Kylie kind of covered this, but I'm going to talk about like the clients that are of the Nebo School District social workers. So it's the students who are experiencing like social and emotional behavioral or family related challenges that impact their school performance or well-being. For example, those facing challenges at home like poverty, divorce, and trauma, students with truancy issues, students with behavioral or mental health concerns. Social workers also work with the families, like Kylie mentioned, of the students. They often work with the parents or the guardians to bridge like the school home issues. They may help them access community resources or address barriers to the students' learning. Social workers act as an advisor or a collaborator with teachers, principals, and other staff in order to support the success of the students. Often, if there are behavioral issues with a student, the social worker will come up with a plan or an intervention to help correct that behavior. And then it takes the student's support system to help carry out that plan. All right, so school social worker responsibilities are conducting assessments of students, like their social, emotional, behavioral needs. They provide direct support, such as individual counseling, small group counseling, crisis intervention when students are in need, like trauma or bullying or suicidal ideation. Um, they do case management and coordination, linking students and families to resources in the community, like Kylie mentioned, mental health agencies and social services. They act as a liaison between the school, the home, and like outside services. They may also implement like school-wide programs such as like anti-bullying campaigns or like programs that improve attendance. So what are the views on ethical behaviors, boundaries, and separation of private professional life? So it's essential for all social workers to maintain clear boundaries with clients. For example, you should avoid conflicts of interest. You should maintain confidentiality, obviously, and avoid dual relationships. So you can't necessarily be friends with your social worker, or if you are in a position of a social worker, you can't ask your students to like babysit for you. So it's like a dual relationship, inappropriate anyway. So social workers must adhere to the NASW Code of Ethics. So when it comes to salary for a school social worker, I had a hard time finding all the information because every school district has like different pay charts and for each position. And so it wasn't just very public to try and find the guy that we interviewed. It wasn't like out there. The information wasn't just out there. So I tried a few different websites and I just came up with an average. And so the salary for a school social worker, I'm guessing, is between 60 and 90,000 a year. It just depends on the school district. And also opportunities for advancement in social work in the schools. So, like Kylie said, Jamal had mentioned that he is one social worker of like 9 schools, or one of four. Like one of four social workers, or one of nine, anyway, 9 schools with thousands of students. And so, with the increasing mental health needs of adolescent children, there is a critical shortage when it comes to social workers in the school. And as NEBO district employees, I'm sure there's advancements like within administrative positions for employees in general. But like with any place of employment, if you're already filling a critical role, then they may not want to move you from that. So anyway, so those are the findings that I found for the salary and stuff. So, and now I'll turn it over to Alicia.
Thanks. Next. Oh, there we go. Okay, so through the interview for Jamal, I was looking over the overall job satisfaction. Now, we didn't outright ask him the question whether or not he was satisfied with his job, but through reading his interview, you can see a few words that come out a little like frustrated with the lack of resources, or overworked has been mentioned before, and limited resources. He says he doesn't feel at times that he can balance it, but he works as hard as he can to follow through the best he can. He's one social worker in an area of 9 schools, 3 of which are secondary schools. So it's thousands of students and dozens of different needs. He just does the best he can. So he sounds like he's middle of the road of whether or not he is extremely satisfied, but he has been there since 2019. And he says he drops the ball sometimes where he can, but the system doesn't operate efficiency at times. And sometimes people get stuck in the system, which can be frustrating. That is not specific to Jamal. You hear that throughout the social work field. People don't get into it to get rich, and people don't get into it to be entirely happy. They get into it to help. So that seems to be the answer that we're getting from Jamal here. Next slide. Okay, there was no organizational chart. I did research on finding Jamal and Nebo School District, and just a few numbers to throw out there. From what I could find, Nebo School District has 44,446 students. And when you look for Jamal, you find that he is assigned to 5 specific schools. So he may help with the other ones, but these are the 5 that he has listed as staff um, with. And I looked at those specific schools, and I also looked at the amount of students with those schools. And I kind of did a little bit of math to see how that would apply for him. So with those 5 schools, I've mentioned that there's 1,837 at Maple High, 601 at Mapleton Elementary. Sierra Bonita has 593. And now these are, last year's estimates, so there's not an exact. And Maple Grove has 12,000 or 1,208, and Mapleton Junior High has 1,197. If you add all of those together, that is 5,436 students for one social worker in that school district. And there are 9 of them. And if you look at the average of the amount of students, 44,446, they should actually only have 4,938. So when you're talking about the lack of resources and needing more assistance when it comes to this very important field, you can see right now that they do definitely have the need for another position within that school district. Next slide, please. Applicability to the field of social work. Well, one of the main fields of social work is families, and children are a part of families. What he does as a social worker is he promotes human well-being. He talked about maybe creating social justice, or that's what they do, is create social justice. They protect the most vulnerable in the school environment. He did mention using a systems approach and moving outward to help. So he starts with the individual, and he moves, in his words, he moves outward to help. How this applies to his position is he's working in the schools, he's working with kids, he's working with individuals with disabilities, he's working with kids that could be unhoused, that need counseling. And what he does is he has the ability to provide counseling for these kids, and he does have the ability to find and provide resources within a limitation. The parents have to be involved as well, but that's what that system approach is. And his position is essential to the schools and to social work. When you're looking at positive aspects and challenges for the work of the social worker, his positive aspects is, as reading through his interview, I saw in there that he mentioned that he likes to teach ahead of time. He likes to teach coping skills ahead of time before something even happens. So in the event that something happens, they are prepared with the tools that are needed. He understands the nuances of different life experiences and circumstances. He is advocating in his position right now for a grade changing system. He doesn't believe in A, B, C, and D. He thinks that should be removed because it provides unnecessary stress. And he is concerned that those who may get stuck in the system. Now, while those sound negative, those are positive because he's aware. He's aware of the limitations, and he knows what he can do within his position to help with those. The stressors that he may have in addressing those positive aspects, or what he's aware of, is he doesn't have enough resources. And again, as mentioned, the system does not operate efficiently for him or for any of them. If you ask, obviously, any of the other social workers, you may get the same thing. In conclusion, Jamal sounds in his answers like he puts his students first. He does teaching instead of reaction. He works on crisis and how to cope with a crisis. And I think this interview was beneficial to all of us. There you go. Back to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you to Alicia and Amanda and myself for putting all this hard work and effort into the group project. We're so grateful to Jamal and the Nebo district, and so that we were able to learn from a social worker and understand more about the job and the field that we're going into. And so we're so grateful for the opportunity and